please make it ready. Do you have any, if you don't have collection, you can even keep an idol or a Satyanarayana Swami photo. And keep all the stuffs ready, that haldi, kumkum, chandan and yellow rice. It's called as akshata. Do you have any fruits and panchamritam. If you have a collection, make sure you keep it in on the rice plate. Pour some rice in a plate and place the collection upon the rice. If you don't have collection, you can make through one Satyanarayana Swami photo. If you have a Ganapati idol, you can keep before the collection or photo. If you don't have, you can make it with an haldi or chandan. Make a cone shape of Ganapati. So you may get another 2 minutes to make all the stuffs ready, and we are going to start the Mahavratam. Om Narayana Vidsmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Jai Bolo Satyanarayana Bhagavan Ki Jai. Now we are going to start the Satyanarayana Swami Vratam. So we are doing through online. Please make sure you have some flowers in your hand and take 1 glass of water with a spoon. If you have a panchapatram and uddharana in your home, you can make it ready with that one. So take like this and drink 3 times of water saying Keshavaya Swaha, Narayanaya Swaha, Madhavaya Swaha, Govindaya Namaha, and wash your hands. Nave Namaha Madhusudana Namaha Trivikrama Namaha Vamana Namaha Sridhara Namaha Rishikesha Namaha Padmanabha Namaha Damodhara Namaha. Om Magavar Tandu Devanam Kamana Tandra Akrasanguru Kantarudadham Devata Kvarilanchanam. Om Namas Sadase, Namas Sadaspadage, Namas Sakinam Roganam Chakshushe, Namo Dhivai, Namah Pratavye, Sapratatavanne Gopaya, Edadabhya Sabha Sataha, Tanindriya Vadakuru, Sarvamagirupasata, Sarvebhya Shri Vaishnavebhyo, Brahmanebhyo, Bhaktamahājanebhyo Namaha. Now all of you keep some yellow rice in your left hand and the flower and close it with the right hand and keep it on your light lap. Now we are going to start the Sankalpam. Om Shriman Venkatanathāriya Kavadāri Kesarim Vedāntacāra Parigome Sadatam Sadarade Gurubhyaha Tatgurubhyascha Namo Bhagavate Mahayaradi Mahayatratyavedam Pade Jagadam Pade Sare Bhutena Vijasvaihe Sarva Varishchadaihe Vedātam Pretamātmanam Devaha Prakramate Svagamarehi. Om Tatsada Shri Govinda 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 Shri Ugato Mahavarasasya Shri Vishnu Varagneya Pravartamanasya Brahmanaha Dviya Praradve Shri Harehe Shvedavrahakalpe Vaivasalamanmantre Kaliyuge Pratame Pade Kraunchadbheve Ramanakavarasha Indrakande Vilaranyakshetre Asmin Vartamane Vyavaharike Prabhvade Shashti Samvatsarana Madhye Shivato Shri Shubhakritanama Samvatsarasya Uttaragane Vasantarato Chaitramase Shuklapakshe Poornamyam Shubhatito Vasaraha Vasarastu Bhargavavasara Nyuktaya Astanakshadrayuktāyām Shubhanakshadra Shubhayoga Shubhakarana Evam Guna Sakalviṣeṣana Vadishtāyām Asyām Shubhajito शर्यमानस्य गोत्रोद्भवस्य. Please say your gotram, all the family members' name. If you remember their nakshatram and rashi, you can say all of the names. आगतानां सर्वेषां भक्तानां क्षेमस्थैर्यवीर्यायुरारोग्यैश्वर्यावृद्ध्यर्थं संकल्पिता आस्तिकमहाभक्तजनस्य क्षेमस्थैर्यवीर्यायुरारोग्यैश्वर्यावृद्ध्यर्थं निरन्तरा भगवत्कैङ्कर्यभाग्यदा सिद्ध्यर्थं पूर्वसङ्कल्पप्रकारेण अस्मिन् देवालये अस्मश्रमाणस्य स्वगृहेण करिष्यमाणः सत्यनारायणस्मृतपूजाम् आचार्यमुखेन कारयिष्ये. Satyanarayana Smarita Puja Machar Mukena Karagishe. Put the yellow rice and the flower near the Kalasham. If you have the Panchabhadra Magdalana, and please keep it in the front of the Kalasham. And apply some Chandan and Kumkum. And put one flower inside the Panchabhadra. And close it with your hand like this. ओम कलशस्य मुखे विष्णुकण्ठे रुद्रसमाश्रिताः मूले तत्र स्थितो ब्रह्मा मध्ये मातृगणास्पृताः कुक्षोदसागराः सर्वे सत्त्वद्दीपापसुन्दराः ऋग्वेदो यजुर्वेदः सामवेदो अथर्वणः अङ्गैश्चसहिताः सर्वे कलशान्तसमाश्रिताः आयान्तु देवपूजार्थं दुरिदक्षेकारकाः गङ्गे च गमने चैव गोदावरी सरस्वती नर्मदे सिन्धु कावेरी जलेऽस्मिन् सन्निधिं कुरु तेनोदकेन पूजामण्डपेन प्रोक्ष पूजाद्रव्यानि च प्रोक्ष देवं संप्रोक्ष आत्मानं प्रोक्ष अपवित्रपवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थाङ्गतोऽपि वा स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं सवाख्याभ्यन्तरशुचिः तत्शेषं विसृज्येत्. Take this flower and sprinkle the water on the kalasham and all the puja materials. So now we are going to do the Mahaganapati Puja. Please take some yellow rice and chant Gam Ganapatage Namaha in your mind. ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनाम् उपमश्रवस्तवं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोदवस्ते ददातनम् एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्. ओम भूः महागणपतिमावाहयामि. ओम भुवः महागणपतिमावाहयामि. ओम सुवः महागणपतिमावाहयामि. ओम भूर्भुवस्वः महागणाधिपतये नमः. ध्यायामि ध्यानं समर्पयामि आवाहयामि रत्नसिंहासनं समर्पयामि. Take spoon of water for the 5 times and show for Ganapati and please leave it like this aside. महागणाधिपते नमः. अर्घ्यं समर्पयामि. पादयोः पाद्यं समर्पयामि. मुखे राजमनं समर्पयामि. श्रीमन्महागणाधिपतये नमः स्नपयामि. Take one flower, dip it in the water and sprinkle on Ganapati. महागणाधिपतये नमः. आपोहिष्टामयोपवस्थानपूर्जे ददातना महेरणाय सक्षरयो भष्यपदमोरसत्तस्य वाचकते हनः उषतीरिवमादरः तस्मादरङ्गमामहोगस्य शिक्षकागिजन्मता आपो जनयता जनः. औपचारिकस्नानं समर्पयामि. Offer from yellow rice. वस्त्रौपीताभरणार्थे अक्षतान् समर्पयामि. Put on चन्दन. दिव्यपरिमळगन्धान् धारयामि. हरिद्राचूर्णं समर्पयामि. Keep some kumkum. कुङ्कुमसिन्धूराणि समर्पयामि. पुष्पमालिकान् समर्पयामि. पुष्पैः पूजयामि. ओम सुमुखाय नमः. ओम एकदन्ताय नमः. ओम कपिलाय नमः. ओम गजकर्णिकाय नमः. ओम लम्बोदराय नमः. ओम विकटाय नमः. ओम विघ्नराजाय नमः. ओम धूमकेतवे नमः. ओम गणाध्यक्षाय नमः. ओम बालचन्द्राय नमः. ओम कुमारगुरवे नमः. ओम मूषिकवाहनाय नमः. सर्वसिद्धिप्रदायकाय नमः. श्रीमन्महागणाधिपतये नमः. नानाविधपरिमलपत्रपुष्पाणि समर्पयामि. Please take the agarbatti. धूपमार्ग्रापयामि. दशाङ्गुलमुग्गुलोधूपं सुगन्धं च मनोहरम्. आग्रेयः सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम्. धूपमार्ग्रापयामि. साक्षात् स्थापितं प्रत्यक्षदीपं दर्शयामि. If you have any fruit, keep one fruit near the Ganapati and do the Naivedyam. ओम भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Offer for Ganapati. प्राणाय स्वाहा पानाय स्वाहा व्यानाय स्वाहा उदानाय स्वाहा समानाय स्वाहा ब्रह्मणे स्वाहा. महागणाधिपतये नमः. काश्मीरवरे निवेदयामि. पूगीफलताम्बूलं समर्पयामि. हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः. सुवर्णपुष्पदक्षिणान् समर्पयामि. And and do the Karpura Harti. Om Namo Bradapatake Namo Gadapatake Namapramadapatake Namaste Sarambhodraye Kadantake Vigna Vinashane Shubhatudage Sri Varadamurtage Namo Namaha Sriman Mahaganadipatake Namaha Mangala Niradanam Samarpagami Rakshandharagami Namaskaromi Siddhi Vinayaka Bhagavan Ki Jai. Take some melodies. राजाधिराजाय प्रदग्धसागिरे नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे शमे कामां कामकामाय मुख्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः महागणाधिपतये नमः वेदोक्तमन्त्रपुष्पान् समर्पयामि गन्धाक्षताधूपदीपनिवेदना समस्तोपचारपूजान् समर्पयामि मनसोदिष्टप्रार्थनं समर्पयामि. All of you please repeat. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Shriman Mahaganadipatake Namaha Manasodishta Prarthanam Samarpayami Liya Pujaga Cha Bhagavan Sarvatpakaha Mahaganadevata Suprita Suprasanna Varadha Bhavantu Mahaganapati Prasada Siddhirastu. Take one flower from Mahaganapati and keep it as prasadam with you. Mahaganapati prasada siddhirastu Mahaganadipatake Dasthanam Tastamagami Shobhanarte Kshemaya Punaragamanaya Cha. So now I am going to do the Navagraha Puja on behalf of you, all the devotees. So if you have any Navadanyam in your home, you can keep in the respective places of the Navagraham. So now we are going to do the Navagraha Puja. So please chant the Graha's name in your mind whenever I do the Puja of the Grahas. Advaidamanasya Suryagraha Devata Prasada Siddhyarte Aradhane Viniyogaha. Chant Suryagrahaya Namaha for 9 times. Om Satya Radalsa Vartamano Niveshan Namratam Martinja Irannena Savidaratena Devoya Divana Divaschanam Japaku Samasangasam Kascha Vegam Mahadram Tamoram Sarvaba Bhagnam Pranatosvidivakaram Adidevata Pratyadevata Sigitagam Om Bhu Bhuvaha Om Savaha Om Bhurvavasvaha Suryagrahamavahayam Stapagam Pujagami. Chant Chandragrahaya Namaha. Om Apyaya Swadamedade Vishwadasoma Vrishtigam Bhava Bhajaswadangate Dadushangadusharapam Shiro Dharanavasambhavam Namami Shashanam Somam Shambhor Mukadabhushanam Ajadevata Pratyadevata Sigitaya Om Bhuvaha Om Savaha Om Bhurvavasvaha Chandragrahamavahayam Stapagam Pujagami. Chant Mangalagrahaya Namaha. Om Agnirmurdhadivat Kagatpati Pradavya Ayam Apagam Retagam Chidanmate Sona Pradvi Bhavan Rakshara Niveshani Dharani Garbhasambhudam Vidyut Kanti Samaprabam Kumaram Shaktihastan Mangalam Pranamamyaham. Om Bhuvaha Om Savaha Om Bhurvavasvaha Angargagrahamavahayami Stapayami Pujagami. Chant Budagrahaya Namaha. Om Udbudya Swagne Vrejagakyena Mishtapurte Sakam Sudesham Ganchan Punakranvakastabdram Vivanamanvatakam Sitvadantanevam Imakranda Prananapam Daityana Paramam Gurum Sarvashastra Pravaktaram Adidevata Pratyadevata Sigitaya Om Bhuvaha Om Savaha Om Bhurvavasvaha Budagrahamavahayami Stapayami Pujagami. Chant Brahaspati Grahaya Namaha. Om Brahaspatiyatariyorga Ajyamadhyabadikalamajjaneshu Yaddhitagachavadata Pradada Tadasma Sudrinam Dehi Chitram Devanancha Rushinancha Gurum Kanchana Sannibam Buddhiputram Trilokesham Tam Namami Brahaspatim. Adidevata Pratyadevata Sigitaya Om Bhurvavasvaha Brahaspatigrahamavahayam Stapayami Pujagami. Chant Shukragrahaya Namaha. Om Bravashukraga Bhanave Bhradvagam Avyavadintagnage Sapudam Yo Devyani Manadadanokum Shiyantara Vishwani Vitmanajigadi Indrani Masarasu Svatni Mahamastravam Nakyasya Brandara Samradevatihi Imakrunda Prananapam Daityana Baravanguram Sarvashastra Pravaktaram Bhargamam Pranamamyaham. Adidevata Pratyadevata Sigitaya Om Bhurvavasvaha Shukragrahamavahayam Stapagam Pujagami. Chant Shaneshwaragrahaya Namaha. Om Shanno Devi Ravishtraga Apo Bandhu Vidage Sriyo Ravishra Bandhunaha नीलाञ्जनसमाभासं रविपुत्रं यमाग्रजं छायामार्ताण्डसम्भूतं तन्नमामि शनैश्चरम् ॐ भूः ॐ भुवः ॐ सुवः ॐ भूर्भुवस्वादेवता प्रत्यदेवता सीतायां शनैश्चरग्रहमावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि चैंट राहुग्रहाय नमः ॐ कयानश्चत्राववदूते सदा व्रतस्सका कया सदष्टया व्रता आयङ्गो वृष्टिरक्रमे दहनन्मादरं पुनः पितरं च प्रगं सुवः यत्ते देवेन धावन्ता धावग्रीवासिदत्यमिदन्ते तद्विश्याम्यायशौरमत्याद्रारीवप्रथमक्षप्रमुक्तः भगवन्तं अधिदेवता प्रत्यदेवता सीताय ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः राहुग्रहमावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि चैंट केतुग्रहाय नमः ॐ केदं गृह्णन्न केदवैवेशो मर्यापेशसे समजद्विरजागताः ब्रह्मादेवानां पदवीं कवीनां शविप्राणामेशो मृगाणां शेनारुद्रानागस्सतिर्वणा नागस्सोमपवित्रमत्तेदरे वन्ने सचित्रचित्रं चितगन्तमस्मै चित्रश्चत्राचित्रतन्मयोदां चन्द्रं बृहं परिवीरं बृहन्तं चन्द्रचन्द्राभिगृणदेकवस्वां भगवन्तम् अधिदेवता प्रत्यदेवता सीतायां ॐ भूः ॐ भुवः ॐ सुवः ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः केतुग्रहमावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि ऑल कैन रिपीट नमः सूर्याय चंद्राय मंगलाय बुधाय च गुरु शुक्र शनिभ्यश्च राहवे केतवे नमो नमः ओम भूर्भुवस्वः आदित्यादिनमग्रदेवतमावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि आदौ सत्यनारायण स्मृत पूजांग दिक्पालक देवता पूजां च करिष्ये ओम इंद्राय नमः ओम अग्नये नमः ओम यमाय नमः ओम निरुते नमः ओम वरुणाय नमः ओम वायवे नमः ओम कुबेराय नमः ओम ईशानाय नमः मध्ये सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः दिक्पालक पूजां समर्पयामि अतः गणपत्यादि पंचलोकपालक पूजां च करिष्ये now take some yellow rice and offer near the kalasham ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमस्तवस्तवं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पद आने शृण्वन्नोदभिस्तेजसादनं प्रणो देवी सरस्वदेवाजय विर्वाजनेवती धीना पवित्रपद ब्रह्मजिज्ञानं प्रथमं पदस्तातुतीपदस्सरुचो वेन आपः सपुज्ञापमाः सविष्टा सदश्चयोन्मितश्च विवहा नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुप्रचोदयात् महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मीः प्रचोदयात् गद्रुद्राय प्रचोदसे मे दुष्टमाय दव्यते कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गी प्रचोदयात् गणपत्यादि पंचलोकपालकमावाहयामि ओं भूः पंचलोकपालकमावाहयामि ओं भुवः पंचलोकपालकमावाहयामि ओं स्वः पंचलोकपालकमावाहयामि ओं भूर्भुवस्वः गणपत्यादि पंचलोकपालकमावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि आदौ सत्यनारायण स्वाव्रतपूजांग पीठपूजां च करिष्ये now we are going to offer the pita puja so take some yellow rice and keep on offering on the kalasham while offering please chant namo narayanaaya in your mind om आधार शक्ति नमः पूर्णाय नमः कालाग्रहे नमः अनंताय नमः भूम्ये नमः अधर्माय नमः धर्माय नमः ज्ञानाय नमः अज्ञानाय नमः वैराग्यान्मानेश्वर्यान्मैश्वर्यान्मा मध्ये शंकरान्मा ऋग्वेदाय नमः यजुर्वेदाय नमः सामवेदान्मा तरणवेदाय नमः वैकारिकंकारान्मा तेजसांकारिकान्मा भूतिकांकारिकान्मा सत्वगुणान्मा रजोगुणान्मा तमोगुणान्मा पृथिव्ये नमः अब्जो नमः तेजसे नमः वायवे नमः आकाशात्मने नमः जीवात्मने नमः अग्निमण्डलात्मने नमः सोमण्डलात्मने नमः सर्वमण्डलात्मने नमः द्वादशादलाग्रणिका केसरी सम्पूर्णभक्तपुण्डरीका यक्षाय नमः वीरपूजां समर्पयामि तद्ध्यानम् Take some yellow rice and flower in your hand and chant Satyanarayanaya Namaha for 21 times in your mind. Om Shantakaram Bhujagasayanam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadaram Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanaganam Yogi Vridhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavavayaharam Sarvalokaiganadam Meghashyamam Pitakoshekavasam Srivatsangam Kaustubodbhasidangam Punyo Vedam Pundarikagataksham Vishnum Vande Sarvalokaiganadam Shajankachakram Sakrita Kundalam Sabita Vastram Sarasirohekshanam Saharavakshasthala Kaustubam Namami Vishnum Sirasa Chaturbhujam Chayayam Parijadasya Hema Simhasanopari Asinamam Budashyamam Agatakshavalangkratam Chandranam Chaturbahum Srivatsankitavakshasam Rukmini Satyabhamabhyam Saitam Krishnamashtrake ध्यायेत् सत्यं गुणातीतं गुणत्रयसमन्वितं लोकनाथं त्रिलोकेशं कौस्तुभाभरणं हरिं नीलवर्णं पीतवासं श्रीवत्सपदभूषितं गोविन्दं गोकुलानन्दं ब्रह्माद्धिरविपूजितं नारायणाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्नः सत्यनारायणप्रचोदयात् महादेव्यै च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मीः प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूः सत्यनारायणस्वामावाहयामि ॐ भुवः सत्यनारायणस्वामावाहयामि ॐ सुवः सत्यनारायणस्वामावाहयामि ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः सत्यनारायणस्वामावाहयामि स्थापयामि पूजयामि Offer the flower and akshata on the kalasham. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Pranaptishta Brahmamantrasya Brahma Vishnu Maheshwararshakaha Rugyadussamadrundagamse Pranashaktihi Paradevata Ram Bhijam Dem Shaktihi Rom Kilakam Siramanasya Satyanarayana Swamadevata Pranaptishta Siddharte Japayam Yogaha Om Ramankushtabhyam Namaha Rem Darjanebhyam Namaha Rom Madhyamabhyam Namaha Remanamikabhyam Namaha Rom Gaishtakabhyam Namaha Rahakradalaprushtabhyam Namaha Ram Mridagaya Namaha Rem Srase Swaha Rom Shikaya Aushade Rem Kavachayaham Rom Netrabhyam Aushade Rahastra Yavade Bhur Bhavastro Mijadik Bandaha Swamin Vishtadagannata Yavat Puja Vasanakam Tavattam Priti Bhavena Bhimbheswin Sannidhin Kuru Satyanarayana Swamini Namaha Avahito Baba Stapito Baba Vakundito Baba Suprasanno Baba Shanto Baba Srimanasa Sarvabhishtabalaprato Baba Yavat Priti Bhavena Asmin Kalashaya Asmin Chitrapadaya Stapayami Pujayami Satyanarayana Swamini Namaha Avahanam Samarpayami. Now take some yellow rice. Now we are going to start the Upachara Pujas. Nana Rakta Samayuktam Surnabita Virajitam Asanam Deva Devesha Prithyatam Radagakshanam Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Ratna Simhasanam Samarpayami. Narayana Namaste Sturnata Arnavataraka Grahanam Padyam Satyesha Mamasa Ukhya Vivardata. Take spoons, put 2 spoons of water and show for Satyanarayana Bhagavan and leave it aside. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Padayoho Padyam Samarpayami Vikta Vikta Swarupaya Rishikavatage Namaha Maya Nivedito Bhaktyargyam Pradagakshatam. Take 1 spoon of water, show to Satyanarayana Bhagavan and leave aside. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Argyam Samarpayami Mandakinyasu Yadvari Sarvapapaharam Shubham Tidam Kalpitam Deva Somya Achamaniyam Tvam Prabho. Do it for the 3 times. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Muke Rachamanam Samarpayami Ata Panchamritasnanam. If you have Panchamritam, please mix the Panchamritam and take a flower, dip in the Panchamritam and sprinkle on the Kalasham. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Pohistame Gopapastana Purje Dadana Maherana Gidakshatago Vashivadamola Satasya Valigate Hanaha Shatiri Madraha Tasmadarangamaho HECSA Gidanmata Apo Janagata Janaha Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Panchamritasnanam Samarpayami. Now take some 1 flower and dip in the water and sprinkle on the Kalasham. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Aupacarikasnanam Samarpayami. And take some yellow rice. Veda Sukta Samayukta Yajna Sama Samanvita Sarvavarna Prato Deva Vasade Pratigukshadam Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Vastrartham Akshatan Samarpayami. Take some yellow rice. Brahma Vishnu Maheshadi Nivritam Brahmasutrakam Yajnopavita Dharanena Priyatam Kamalapate Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Upavitarte Akshatan Samarpayami. Take some chandan. Sri Kanda Chandanam Divyam Gandhadye Samanoharam Vilevanam Surasreshtam Prithyartam Mridagakhyadam Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Divya Parimana Chandanam Samarpayami. Take some haldi. Sobhagyashapade Devi Sarvamangaladagini Aridrante Vradasyami Grahana Parameshwari Aridra Churnam Samarpayami. Take some kumkum. Sarvamangalamaangalye Shive Sarvartasadake Saranye Triambake Devi Narayani Namosute Kumkuma Sindhurani Samarpayami. Mallikadi Sugandhini Malityadi Namai Prabho Maya Ruchani Pujartam Pushpani Pradakshadam Pushpa Malikan Samarpayami Pushpaihi Pujayami. Now we are going to offer the puja as Anga Puja. So we are going to the puja for Satyanarayana Swami in different body parts. So I'll keep on chanting mantra. So you can offer one flower for the kalasham. Satyadevaaya namaha. Om Bhadavo Puriyami. Satyatmane namaha. Om Gulgo Puriyami. Sadandige namaha. Om Jananim Puriyami. Sadankalpa namaha. Dinge Puriyami. Satyadisha namaha. Uram Puriyami. Sadarupa namaha. Om Gukhyam Puriyami. Sadevya namaha. Jaganam Puriyami. Satya Vatape namaha. Kantam Puriyami. Satyodara namaha. Udaram Puriyami. Satadharma namaha. Barsho Puriyami. Satyakama namaha. Barsho Puriyami. Satyeshta namaha. Vrushtadesham Puriyami. Satyaparagana namaha. Om Skando Puriyami. Satyashauryānamā Bahun Puriyāmi Satyabhaksānamā Stau Puriyāmi Satyasantushtānamā Kantam Puriyāmi Satyavedhyānamā Vajram Puriyāmi Satyājutānamā Nasikām Puriyāmi Satyasharmānamā Shotre Puriyāmi Satyapurnānamā Netre Puriyāmi Satyaushadānamā Brahma Puriyāmi Satyānandānamā Brahmatyam Puriyāmi Satyapupashenamā Lalatam Puriyāmi Satyagraharopanenamā Shiraf Puriyāmi Satyanārāyana Swāmane Namaha Sarvāngāni Pujanam Samarpayāmi. Now we are going to do the Ashtotra Puja. So please offer one flower on the kalasham. Satyadevaya namaha. Om Satyatmane namaha. Om Satyabhutaya namaha. Om Satyapurushaya namaha. Om Satyanataya namaha. Om Satyasakkhane namaha. Satyayoga namaha. Om Satyajnanaya namaha. Om Satyajnanaprajaya namaha. Om Satyanidage namaha. Satyasambhava namaha. Satyaparve namaha. Satyeshvara namaha. Satyakarmane namaha. Satyapavitra namaha. Satyamangala namaha. Satyagarbha namaha. Om Satyaprajapatagaye namaha. Om Satyavikrama namaha. Om Satyasthita namaha. Om Satyaushita namaha. Satyavira namaha. Satyabodha namaha. Satyadharma namaha. Satyakraja namaha. Satyasantushta namaha. Satyavraha namaha. Satyavaragana namaha. Satyapurna namaha. Satyaushita namaha. Satyashashvata namaha. Satyapravardhana namaha. Satyavibhave namaha. Satyajeshta namaha. Satyashreshta namaha. Satyavikramane namaha. Satyadhanve namaha. Satyaveda namaha. Satyadisha namaha. Satyakratave namaha. Satyakalanama Satyavatsalanama Satyavasave Satyamokhanama Satyaruddanama Satyabrahmanenama Satyamritanama Satyavedhanganama Satyachaduratmanenama Satyalokenama Satyashuchagenama Satyerchitanama Satyendranama Satyasangaranama Satyaswarganama Satyaniyamanama Satyavedanama Satyavedhyanama Satyabhyushanama Satyamayanama Satyamahiyamanama Satyasuranandanama Satyasagranama Satyatapasayanama Satyasimbhanama Satyamruganama Satyalokabalakānama Satyasthitānama Satyaushadānama Satyadikpalakānama Satyadhanurdaranama Satyambujanama Satyavakhyanama Satyaguravenama Satyanayanama Satyasakcharinama Satyasamratanama Satyasamratanama Satyamakhyanama Satyavahvenama Satyashreekaranama Satyanandanama Satyashrivādhanama Satyaguptanama Satyardaganama Satyakamalānama Satyanādanama Satyahasthanama Satyabhāvenama Satyamukhanama Satyasamshtanama Satyanasikanama Satyachotrenama Satyachakshushenama Satya Shirasenma Satyamgudanma Satyavaragananma Satyaudanma Satyashrivallabhanma Satyaguptanma Satyapushkaranma Satyadrudanma Satyabhamaratanma Satyagraharopanenama Satyavaraganāgudanma Satyanādāgara Devatābhyo Namo Namaha. Ashtottara Pujam Samarpayami. If you have a betel leaf or palm leaf with you, keep it in front of kalasham and please do the kunkumarchana. Om Srim Srige Namaha. Om Vigarte Namaha. Om Vigarte Namaha. Om Vidyage Namaha. Om Sarvodapradage Namaha. Om Shraddhage Namaha. Om Bhutye Namaha. Om Sarabhye Namaha. Om Paramatmikage Namaha. Om Vache Namaha. Om Padmanilagage Namaha. Om Padmage Namaha. Om Shute Namaha. Om Swahage Namaha. Om Sudhage Namaha. Om Sudhage Namaha. Om Danya Namaha. Om Hiranmahe Namaha. Om Lakshmi Namaha. Om Nityapushtaya Namaha. Varne Namaha. Om Aditye Namaha. Om Deepte Namaha. Om Deeptage Namaha. Sudhage Namaha. Sarane Namaha. Kamanage Namaha. Kantage Namaha. Kamakshe Namaha. Krodhasambhava Namaha. Anugrabhage Namaha. Buddhage Namaha. Om Anagage Namaha. Divallabhage Namaha. Shokage Namaha. Vritage Namaha. Deeptage Namaha. Loka Shokavanashani Namaha. Dharmanirgage Namaha. Karuna Namaha. Lokamatre Namaha. Padmapriya Namaha. Padmahasta Namaha. Padmakshe Namaha. Padmasundarge Namaha. Padmodbhava Namaha. Padmamukhe Namaha. Padmanavapriyage Namaha. Rama Namaha. Padmamaladarage Namaha. Devye Namaha. Padmane Namaha. Padmagandhane Namaha. Punyagandha Namaha. Suprasannage Namaha. Prasadamukhe Namaha. Prabhava Namaha. Chandravadana Namaha. Chandra Namaha. Chandrasodarge Namaha. Chandrapuja Namaha. Chandrarupa Namaha. Indra Namaha. Dushetara Namaha. Karande Namaha. Dushe Namaha. Shiva Namaha. Shivagarge Namaha. Satye Namaha. Vala Namaha. Shrine Namaha. Dushe Namaha. Dardrana Shanne Namaha. Preetipushkaranye Namaha. Shantage Namaha. Shuklamalyambra Namaha. Shrige Namaha. Bhaskarge Namaha. Bilmalingyan Namaha. Vararohan Namaha. Shashvande Namaha. Sundara Namaha. Udaranga Namaha. Ranye Namaha. Hemamaranye Namaha. Dhanadanya Jagate Namaha. Siddhage Namaha. Srena Somya Namaha. Shubhaprada Namaha. Rupaveshvakadānandāge Namaha. Lakshmi Suprada Namaha. Shubhamaranye Prakara Namaha. Samadradaniga Namaha. Jaga Namaha. Mangala Namaha. Devye Namaha. Vishtumakshasthaladasitage Namaha. Vishtupatni Namaha. Prasannakshe Namaha. Narayana Samashita Namaha. Daridradvamsre Namaha. Devye Namaha. Sarvopatra Nivarane Namaha. Durga Namaha. Kali Namaha. Brahma Vishnu Shivatmikage Namaha. Trikalajnana Sambannage Namaha. Namaha Bhuvaneshwarge Namaha. Shrim Shrige Namaha. Bhum Bhumi Namaha. Nim Nirage Namaha. Gam Godage Namaha. सर्वालङ्कारभूषिताय श्रीमहालक्ष्मी नमः कुङ्कुमार्चनपूजान् समर्पयामि. And please take the agarbatti and please do the shofar. Satyanarayana Swami Nishangalamuggalodavam Sakandam Chamanoharam Kapilagrasayuktam Dhovoyam Padegrashyadam Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha Sugandha Parimana Dhupamargrapayami. If you have any fruits or prasadam, Rava Kesari or any prasadam, so now do the offerings. If you have the coconut, you can break the coconut and keep it in the front of Satyanarayana Bhagavan and take a spoon of water. Please sprinkle on the prasadam. Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tatsavidavarehanyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahe Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Offer to Bhagavan. Om Pranaya Swaha, Om Panaya Swaha, Om Vyanaya Swaha, Udanaya Swaha, Samanaya Swaha, Brahmane Swaha. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha. Sapadabaksham Nivedagami, Phalam Nivedagami. If you have the palm leaf and betel nuts, keep 2 palm leaves and 2 betel nuts near the Satyanarayana Bhagavan. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha. Bhogi Balatam Bhulam Samarpagami. Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha. Suvarna Mantra Pushpa Dakshinani Samarpagami. Now please do the Harati. Satyanarayana Swami Mangala Neerajanam Darshayami. Om Tat Vishno Paramam Badakam Sada Pashyandi Suryaha Divi Vajakshuradatam Tadvipraso Vipanjavoja Grabakam Sasavinchate Vishnoryah Paramam Padam. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha. Mangala Neerajanam Samarpagami. Achamanam Samarpagami. Parimana Batra Pushpani Samarpagami. Rakshandharayami. Namaskaromi. Jai Bolo Satyanarayana Bhagavan Ki Jai. Satyanarayana Swamine Namo Namaha. Mangala Neerajanam Samarpagami. Rakshandharayami. Namaskaromi. Rajadirajaya Pradaktisagnehe Namo Vayam Vai Shravanaya Kurmahe. Shame Kaman Kama Kama Yamakyum Kameshwaro Vai Shravano Dadato Kuveraya Vai Shravanaga Maharaja Namaha. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha. Vedottamantra Pushpani Samarpagami. Gandhakshadadhupadi Panivedana Samastopachara Pujan Samarpagami. Manasodishta Prarthanam Samarpagami. Offer some yellow rice near Satyanarayana Bhagavan. Satyanarayana Swamine Namaha. Samastopachara Pujan Samarpagami. So now all the puja is done. So now we are going to read the main part of Satyanarayana Katha. Will anyone read? It is in English.
Okay. Any language you're comfortable with?
Yeah, you can read.
Oh, I can. Okay.
If anyone wish, you can read.
Okay. Thank you.
Please visit. Little bit. Yeah.
Oh,
Live is good. Satyanarayana Swami Vratakatha Prarambha, Chapter 1. Can read it a little loud.
From here?
Yeah.
Worship of Lords Sri Satyanarayanan, Sri Mahavishnu, is an integral part of Sanatan Dharma. This auspicious Satyanarayan Katha narration comes from one of the 18 Puranas, the Skanda Purana. It is in the form of a dialogue between Lord Vishnu and sage Narada. Sri Satyanarayan Puja gives devotees the opportunity to shower the Lord with prema and bhakti, love and devotion. And in return, the 4 rewards of life are fulfilled. Dharma, spiritual need; Artha, material need; Kama, personal need; Moksha, liberation. Once, 88,000 rishis assembled at the forest Naimisharanya and asked Maharishi Sutha, the narrator of the Puranas, "O Maharishi, please tell us how mankind can attain salvation." Maharishi Suta answered, once Narada Muni asked Lord Vishnu, the consort of goddess Lakshmi, the same question. I will tell you what Lord Vishnu told Narada, so listen carefully. Once Narada, during one of his sojourns to the various worlds, came to earth. There he saw the people suffering as a result of their past deeds. To alleviate their sufferings and bring them salvation, Narada travelled to Vishnu Loka. There he found Lord Vishnu adorned with a Sankha, Chakra, Gada, and lotus in his 4 hands and a garland around his neck. Narada spoke humbly, O Supreme Lord, the Saviour of the destitute and the troubled, I surrender at thy feet. Lord Vishnu said, Narada, why have you come here? Tell me what you want and I will fulfill your wishes. To which Narada replied, O Bhagavan, people on earth are suffering in many ways as a result of their own past sinful deeds. Please bestow thy grace and reveal to me as to how they can be helped. Lord Vishnu replied, O Narada, mankind can rid itself of all its sorrows by performing a puja called Satya Narayana Puja. This puja, when performed according to religious rites, will bring happiness, peace of mind and wealth in this life and salvation beyond. On hearing this, Narada was filled with joy and addressed Lord Vishnu thus, O Lord, in your infinite grace, please tell me the details of the puja that you just mentioned. How and when to perform it and who has performed it before. Lord Vishnu answered, this puja can be performed in any month on a full moon day. One must gather his friends and relatives, perform the puja with devotion and offer fruits, ghee, milk, curd, butter, wheat flour, sugar and honey to the gods. After the puja is over, he must read the Satyanarayana Katha and distribute prasad to everybody. If the puja is thus performed, it will bring fulfillment of one's wishes. Particularly in the Kali Yuga, this puja brings contentment. Om Shri Satyanarayana Namah.
जय बोलो सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. अतः द्वितीयोऽध्यायः. Can continue. Chapter 2.
Maharishi Suta continued addressing the assembled rishis. O rishis, I will tell you who all have observed the Satyanarayana Puja in the past. Once there lived a very poor Brahmin in the beautiful city of Kashi. Plagued by acute hunger, he used to wander about here and there every day. Lord Vishnu took the form of an old man, appeared before the poor Brahmin and asked, Friend, why are you wandering aimlessly? The poor Brahmin replied, Sir, I am a very poor man. Unable to bear the pangs of hunger, I beg for alms. Sir, if you know a way out of this misery, please tell me. Whereupon Lord Vishnu, who was in the guise of an old man, replied, O Brahmin, Lord Satyanarayana grants his devotees wishes and removes their sorrows. So you should perform his puja and reap its benefits. Lord Vishnu then explained the details of Satyanarayana Vrata to the poor Brahmin and disappeared. The poor Brahmin immediately resolved to perform the puja. After a sleepless night, he got up early in the morning and went to beg for alms. His mind fixed on only one thing, namely the puja. That day he got a lot of money with which he bought fruits and milk, curd and honey, and performed the puja with his relatives and friends. With Lord Satyanarayana's grace, he shed his poverty and lived a contented life. Every month on the full moon day, he performed the puja and finally attained moksha, salvation. Maharishi Suta thus told the assembled rishis the story which originally was narrated by Lord Vishnu to Narada Muni. The rishis again addressed Maharishi Suta. O great one, please tell us in detail who else performed the puja. Maharishi Suta continued, one day when the poor Brahmin from Kashi was observing the Satyanarayana Vrata, a woodcutter entered his house and asked for water. Seeing the Brahmin perform the puja, the woodcutter inquired what the puja was about and what good it would bring. The Brahmin who had been bestowed with Lord Narayana's grace spoke, "This is Satya Narayana Vrata. Anyone who observes this Vrata will get all riches. I myself have been bestowed with wealth." The woodcutter was delighted and to hear this. He learned the proper way to perform the puja, ate the prasad that was offered, and went his way. With Lord Satyanarayana on his mind, the woodcutter resolved that he would observe the vrata with whatever he was going to make by selling firewood that day. He went to that part of the city where rich people lived, sold the firewood, and made twice the normal profit. Pleased with his luck, the woodcutter bought bananas, sugar, ghee, milk, curd, honey, and wheat flour and performed the Satyanarayana puja with his friends and relatives. By Lord Narayana's grace, he too acquired enormous wealth and lived comfortably and attained moksha, salvation.
Jai Bolo Satyanarayana Bhagavan ki Jai. Satyanarayana Swamiya Tritiyodhyaya, chapter 3.
Maharishi Suta continued, "O best of ascetics, I will now tell you the story further. In the olden days, there lived a wise king by the name Ulkamukha. He had mastered all his senses and always spoke the truth. He used to go to the temple every day and give gifts to the Brahmins. His lotus-faced wife was a pure and pious woman. One day, the royal couple was performing the Satyanarayana puja at the banks of the river Bhadrashila. At that time, a merchant called Sadhu sailed by. Seeing the king perform some puja, Sadhu stopped his boat, got off, and addressed the king humbly. 'O king, would you kindly tell me, what are you doing with such devotion and concentration?' The king replied, 'O Sadhu, I have no children. In order that I may be blessed with children, I am worshipping the Almighty Lord Satyanarayana.' On hearing this, Sadhu spoke humbly, 'O king, please tell me how to perform the puja. I would like to observe the vrata, as I too have no children.' The king told him all the details. Sadhu returned home and with great joy told his wife that they should perform Satyanarayana puja, which will fulfill their desire to have children. He then resolved to perform the puja after the child was born. Then, by the divine grace, Sadhu's wife Lilavati conceived, and in due course a beautiful daughter was born to them. They named the child Kalavati. One day Lilavati reminded her husband of his promise to perform puja. Sadhu told his wife that he would do the puja at the time of his daughter's wedding and got busy with his work. In the meantime, Kalavati grew up and blossomed into a lovely girl. Sadhu sent out messengers to find a suitable bridegroom for his daughter. One of his messengers found a good-natured and handsome boy in a Vaishya family from Kanchana Nagar. Sadhu found a boy to be suitable match for Kalavati and celebrated his daughter's wedding with great pomp and show. But Sadhu completely forgot about the Satyanarayana puja and thus angered Lord Satyanarayana. Then, one day Sadhu went on a business trip with his son-in-law. He stopped to trade at Ratnapura that was ruled by King Chandraketu. Lord Satyanarayana placed a curse on Sadhu. One day, in Ratnapura, some thieves robbed the king's treasury and were running away. The king's soldiers followed them in hot pursuit. The frightened thieves threw the things they had robbed near Sadhu and his son-in-law, who were sleeping under a tree, and escaped. Finding the king's treasure near Sadhu and his son-in-law, the king's soldiers arrested them and brought them before the king. The king ordered them to be chained and thrown into prison. Because of Lord Narayana's Maya, nobody even listened to what Sadhu had to say in defense. King Chandraketu also confiscated all their merchandise. Lord Narayana's curse did not spare Sadhu's wife. Some robbers broke into her house and Lilavati lost everything. One day, Kalavati was very hungry and ran out of the house. She wandered here and there and stopped at a house where Satyanarayana puja was being performed. She stayed at that place until the puja was over and ate the prasad that was offered. When she reached home, it was late night. Lilavati asked her where she had been. Kalavati told her mother that she was listening to Satyanarayana Katha in somebody's house. Lilavati at once remembered her husband's promise to perform the puja and resolved to observe Satyanarayana Vrata herself. She collected all her relatives and friends and prayed to Lord Satyanarayana to forgive their sins. Lord Satyanarayana was pleased with Lilavati's prayers. He appeared before King Chandraketu in his dream and told him to release the two merchants from prison, as they were not the real thieves. If the king failed to do so, Lord Narayana warned that his kingdom, wealth and children would all suffer. Next morning, the king told his counsellors about his dream and ordered Sadhu and his son-in-law to be released. The latter were frightened and stood before the king with bowed heads. The king talked to them gently and said, "You have suffered a great deal because of your fate, but there is nothing to fear." The king returned their merchandise, gave them new clothes and lots of gifts and bade them goodbye.
Jai Bolo Satyanarayana Bhagavan Ki Jai.
Jai.
Chapter 4.
Sadhu and son-in-law loaded their boat with the riches given to them by the king and sailed homeward. Lord Satyanarayana wanted to test the Sadhu further. He took the form of an ascetic with a trident, appeared before Sadhu and asked him what he was carrying in his boat. Without realizing that the ascetic was indeed Lord Narayana in disguise, Sadhu laughed mockingly and said, "You Brahmin, were you thinking of stealing my things? We do not have any valuables in the boat except vessels." Whereupon Lord Narayana replied, "O Sadhu, so be it." The ascetic then departed and went to the seashore to meditate. When Sadhu went into his boat, he discovered to his horror that the boat was filled with vessels just as he had falsely told the ascetic. Sadhu swooned at the sight, but he was revived by his son-in-law, who said, "This must be the curse of the ascetic. He must be a mystic. Let's go to him and ask his forgiveness." The two merchants then went to the seashore where the ascetic was meditating. They fell at his feet and repeatedly begged for his forgiveness. Pleased by Sadhu's devotion, the Lord said, "Sadhu, do not weep. You suffer because you have broken your promise time and again." On hearing this, Sadhu prayed to God, "O Lord, even Brahma and other devas drowned in your Maya cannot comprehend your form completely. How can I, with my limited knowledge, comprehend your various forms? I pray within my limited knowledge, please show me your true form and bless me." Upon hearing his prayer, God was pleased and granted his wishes, restoring his merchandise in the boat and disappeared. The two merchants then joyfully sailed homeward. On reaching their hometown, they sent a messenger to their wives to inform them of their safe arrival. At that time, Lilavati and Kalavati were performing Satyanarayana Puja. Lilavati quickly finished the puja and asked her daughter to do so. She then hurried to the seashore to meet her husband. Kalavati, in her eagerness to meet her husband, forgot to eat the prasad and rushed to the seashore. This action of hers angered Lord Satyanarayana. He caused the ship and her husband to drown in the sea. Not finding her husband, Kalavati started weeping. All were wonderstruck and frightened. Sadhu was at a loss to know what to do. Thinking that it was Lord Narayana's Maya, he announced that he would perform Satyanarayana Puja and prayed to Lord again and again. At this, Lord Satyanarayana, the savior of the sinners, was very pleased and said, "O Sadhu, your daughter did not eat the prasad in her haste to see her husband, so I made him and the boat disappear. Let her go home, take the prasad and return." On hearing this, Kalavati rushed and took the prasad. When she returned to the seashore, she found to her joy her husband and the boat. Then Sadhu returned home happily with his relatives and performed the Satyanarayana Puja every full moon day. With God's grace, he enjoyed all comforts in this world and finally attained salvation.
Jai Bolo Satyanarayana Bhagavan Ki Jai. Chapter 5.
Maharishi Sutta continued. Once there was a king called Tungadhwaja who underwent a lot of misery after refusing the Satyanarayana Prasad. One day, after hunting, he was resting under a shady tree. Some cowherds were happily performing Satyanarayana Puja nearby. The king, in his vanity, refused the prasad they offered. When he reached his palace, he found that his kingdom, his 100 sons, his wealth and everything was destroyed. Then it occurred to him that Lord Satyanarayana was probably angry with him. He went back to the cowherds. prostrated himself before Lord Satyanarayana and performed the puja with great devotion. Lord Satyanarayana showered his blessings and the king regained everything he had lost earlier. He lived happily and reached Vaikuntha after death. Maharishi Suta said, O holy men, I have narrated to you the Satyanarayana Katha, which was originally told by Lord Vishnu to Narada Muni. By observing this Vrata, mankind can attain salvation. In this Kali Yuga, observance of the Vrata can lead to gratification of one's wishes. Thus ended the narration of Maharishi Suta, after which the rishis returned to their respective homes.
जय बोलो सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. सत्यनारायण स्वामी तथा संपूर्णांग. All of you can please stand up. सत्य संपूर्णांग स्वामिनः कर्पूर महामंगल नीराजन दीपं दर्शयामि. ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदकं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरजः दिवि वचक्षुराददं तद्विप्रासो विभञ्जभोजाग्रवाकं सस्तविन्धते विष्णोर्यः परमं पदं नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुप्रचोदयात्. सत्यनारायण स्वामी नमः. मंगलनीराजनं समर्पयामि. आचरणं समर्पयामि. परिमलपत्रपुष्पाणि समर्पयामि. रक्षां धारयामि. नमस्करोमि. जय बोलो सत्यनारायण भगवान की जय. महालक्ष्मी माता की जय. सत्यनारायण स्वामी नमः. व्रत संपूर्णांग. Little bit aside. Can even give them all harti. You can give all of you one flower and some yellow rice in this one. You can keep the plate there also.
Yeah.
Take some yellow rice and akshara.
Yeah.
And one flower.
One flower and some rice.
सत्यनारायण स्वामी व्रत संपूर्णांग. ओम वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तं आदित्यवर्णं तमसस्तु वारे सर्वाणि रूपाणि विदित्य धीरः नामानि कृत्वा विवदन्यतास्ते दाता पुरस्ताद्यमुदा जहार शर्करप्रविद्वान् प्रतिदशतस्रः त्वमेवं विद्वान् अमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था अयनाग विद्यते यज्ञेन यज्ञमैनं तदेवाः तानि तन्मानि प्रथमान्यासन् ते हनाकं महिमानः सदन्ते यत्र पूर्वे साध्याः सन्ति देवाः. सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः. वेदोत्तमन्त्रपुष्पाणि समर्पयामि. गन्धाक्षदाधूपदीपनिवेदनान् समस्तोपचार पूजान् समर्पयामि. मनसोदिष्ट प्रार्थनं करिष्ये. All can repeat. ध्यायेत् सत्यं गुणातीतं गुणत्रय समन्वितं लोकनाथं त्रिलोकेशं कौस्तुभ आभरणं हरिं नीलवर्णं पीतवासं श्रीवत्स पदभूषितं गोविन्दं गोकुलानन्दं ब्रह्माद्यै रविपूजितं सत्यनारायणं देवं वन्देऽहं कामदं प्रभुं लीलया सततं विष्णुं येन तस्मै नमो नमः. So all can do 3 pradakshinas on the clockwise right side. यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मात्मा यानि कानि च पापानि जन्मान्तरकृतानि च तानि तानि विनश्यन्ते प्रदक्षिणं पदे पदे पापोऽहं पापकर्माणां पापात्मा पापसम्भवान् त्रायमां कृपया देवा शरणागतवत्सलान्यथा शरणं नास्ति त्वमेव शरणं मम तस्मात् कारुण्यमाभेन रक्ष रक्षो सत्यनारायण स्वामिने नमः. प्रदक्षिण नमस्कारान् समर्पयामि. Welcome one by one forward and please offer from side. Yeah, offer them. Yeah, just offer. Yeah. सत्यनारायण पुनः पूजां कृषे पूजां त्यचितनामरा सर्वोपचारपूजां समर्पयामि कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना भा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणाय समर्पयामि सत्यनारायणस्वामिने नमः समस्तोपचारपूजां समर्पयामि सर्वं श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु यज्ञेन यज्ञमयचन्द्रेवाः स्थानि तन्मानि प्रथमान्यासन् ते हनाकं महिमानः सदन्ते यत्र पूर्वे साध्याः सन्ति देवाः. All the devotees who did the puja through online, so if you keep the kalasham, please take the kalasham and take the kalasha tirtham water which is in the kalasham as the tirtham and sprinkle on your head some of water, and remaining water